Here are a few Reddit stories that made me mad, but at the same time, not every person has the same thought process. Here is the first story. I, 28 male, my girlfriend, 29 female, and I have been together for more than 2 years. We recently moved to a new city, and she started working in a new place 3 months ago. 2 days ago, there was an after-work get-together event at a bar with her coworkers, and she had forgotten her phone charger at home, leaving her battery low. I went to give her the extra power bank we have at home, as her phone uses the old USB type. As I went to her table to give it to her, one of her colleagues asked her who I was. Before I could say anything, she replied, "This is my friend, my name." He agreed to lend me the charger. I was a bit taken aback and looked at her, saying, "Friend?" She just laughed and said, "You are so funny. Thank you for this," and waved to me as if implying goodbye. One of the other colleagues asked me if I was free and said I could also join them, and I said why not, and I could sense the annoyance on my girlfriend's face. People were drinking, some talked to me and asked me questions and made conversation. What do I do? Where did I grow up? Etc. I should mention at this point that my girlfriend and most of her colleagues there were Chinese, and I am Indian. This becomes relevant later. Whenever someone asked me about how I met my girlfriend, she would pipe up to answer in a way that wasn't untrue, but completely omitted any mention of romance, giving the impression that we were just old friends. This kept bothering me, and I will admit I was getting pretty angry. Then one of the colleagues, who initially asked who I was, pretty drunk now, said, "Girlfriend's name never told us she had such a good-looking friend," and laughed. My girlfriend also did a small polite laugh. I replied, "I didn't know she had such a pretty colleague either," and winked at her, which made her laugh more, but my girlfriend became visibly upset. Another colleague said to my girlfriend, "Seems like you are an expert Cupid." My girlfriend was turning red, and I was also feeling slightly uncomfortable, so after a bit more chit-chat, I made an excuse and said I had to go. The colleague said I should get her number from my girlfriend, and then I left. Now, when she came back, she refused to talk to me, and yesterday she angrily told me that I had kind of cheated on her and hurt her badly. I replied that although what I did was hurtful, she also needs to acknowledge that introducing me as just a friend was hurtful. She refuses to acknowledge it as wrong, saying that she is just socially awkward, and she thought that her colleagues might react weirdly to her dating an Indian guy, as they are all dating white or other Chinese people. Her reasoning is that it involves a lot of explanation and questions regarding interracial dating, and she just wanted to avoid all that. I don't buy it. I feel she just wanted to hide the fact that she is dating me. We are at an impasse. I refuse to apologize until she acknowledges that what she did was wrong, and she realizes that she did not do anything wrong, but rather that I was being mean. Reddit, am I the a-hole? Update. Thank you all for your responses and advice on my previous post. The last 3 days were a whirlwind. TLDR, we fought and I moved out. I'm writing this from a friend's house who will let me stay until I find a place. To answer some questions people had in the work friend group that day, there were 3 guys as well. I did not publicly correct her because saving face is quite important for her. She would have had a literal panic attack if I had done that. On Friday, we talked. I admitted I was petty, but I was also hurt by her introduction of me as a friend. She broke down. At work, they have a group chat where they share memes, and it gave her the impression that they hate Indian people. She did not want to become the topic of jokes, so she had planned to introduce me slowly to the group as a friend, and after they started liking me, revealed that we are dating. This had backfired badly because I started talking to them last week before she was ready, and she got anxious and went into autopilot mode to support her initial lie that I was a friend. She felt helpless, guilty, and hurt when they found me acceptable and cool, and I started flirting. Why did she not tell me all this earlier? She felt that it would make me dislike her coworkers, who are otherwise actually nice people, and I would feel bad that she works with them. I asked her if I could see that group chat. I wanted to make sure this was the reason and not a work crush as many suggested. Almost 1/3 of the older memes they shared were Indians dirty uncivilized or Indians horny creeps, etc. Y'all know there are plenty on Instagram. There were also some posts about Southeast Asians, all mostly posted by one guy and one girl. Others would just laugh, react, or do a one-liner. I scrolled back to an old message by my ex-girlfriend to one of these memes. She had said, "I have an Indian friend. He is pretty nice actually." Someone replied, "You found one of the clean ones," to a round of laughter. There were also some recent messages after they met me, but I didn't bother to read and translate it all. I realized that although she liked my personality and looks, she was never very interested in my language or culture. Since I started dating her, I got an HSK3, can cook most Chinese dishes perfectly, and know all about her region. But holy will come and go without her still not knowing what holy is. I felt hurt by how those kinds of jokes weren't a big enough deal for her. I asked her why she never said anything to them about these jokes. She said, "This is the kind of reaction that is why she didn't tell me before. She feels that a relationship is private and not a part of who she is as a person, especially at work. So she saw no reason to create tension. I feel she means I am not worth it." I asked her point blank if she would have preferred if I were not Indian. She said it would have made her life easier. That stung me. I packed some clothes and went to a friend's house. I don't even know how to express my feelings now, but I felt deeply hurt, as if my trust had been completely broken by her. My friend is going on vacation and will let me stay at his place while I find a new one. Today, I went to get my other belongings, and she was crying a lot. She says she does not understand why something so minor can make me break up and throw away a good thing. She says she loves me, and if it is so important, she will change her workplace. I told her I will need to think about things, but I cannot be with her right now. My brain honestly feels like a jumble right now. I know that I feel hurt, but I'm having a hard time articulating what the things are that hurt me. Second story. Hello everyone. I never thought I'd be writing this, but here I am. I, 22 male, am currently deployed overseas and working through a very painful and complicated situation involving my wife, 19 female, whom I'll refer to as A. We got married last year, just a month before I deployed. We met earlier that year while I was still a specialist in the Army. When I picked up Sergeant 5 months later, we knew the Army's 1-year timeline for dating to marriage, due to rank difference, would fall during my deployment. So we decided to move the wedding up. I got us a house, furnished it, and gave her full access to the car and home while I was gone, so she'd have stability and something to build on while I was away. The first few months were relatively smooth, even though the distance was hard. That changed early this year. It started with a strange conversation one morning. Due to the 8-hour time difference, I usually text A and expect a reply hours later, but this time she responded instantly. I asked why she was awake, and she casually replied that she was in a parking lot at a burger place at 1 a.m. with a guy from her squad. We'll call him B. Apparently, he had an accident with a generator at work, and she drove him to the ER. She said she didn't feel safe being alone and decided to hang out with him for several hours, all the way until 1 or 2 a.m., knowing they had formation early that morning. That alone raised red flags. But over the next few weeks, A continued to hang out with B regularly. Late nights, solo outings, and events I was never told about until afterward. Despite me clearly expressing discomfort, she insisted he's just a friend and brushed off my boundaries. The problem? B is not a respected person in our unit. He has a history of shady behavior, and even his own wife, also deployed at the same time as me, has had issues with him. Several people within the company, including my close friends, my leadership, and even A's leadership, all noticed their inappropriate behavior and submitted anonymous complaints about it to our first sergeant, who didn't immediately take action. Instead, our company first sergeant sat back, observed, noticed the behaviors, and then took action. Eventually, their chain of command separated them. She was moved to another platoon. They were both counseled and instructed to stay away from each other. I only found this out because A's squad leader's husband, I hope that's not too confusing, LOL, called me to ask if I was friends with B. When I said no, he told me everything he knew, and it lined up with the rumors I had already heard. Things proceeded to keep snowballing. I found out from our property manager that a red-orange BMW, B's car, was parked in my driveway while I was actively deployed. It was there long enough for the HOA to complain that it was hanging over the sidewalk and posing a hazard. I drive a blue SUV and A drives a gray sedan, so there was no mistake whose car it was. I asked A about it and got no real answer. Then someone else in our company told me that his wife, who knows A, saw B driving that BMW again, and he had a girl with him who looked exactly like A, curly hair, glasses, same build. Again, his wife is deployed overseas, so who else would it be? All the while, A kept dodging one major request. Before we married, A proposed an infidelity clause in our prenup. It stated that if either party cheats, with proof, they must fund the divorce for both sides. I immediately agreed because I knew I'd never cheat. However, months into the deployment, I realized I had never received a copy of that clause in the digital paperwork. I asked A for it on March 29th. She promised to send it. 4 days went by. Nothing. I asked again and again. Over 2 weeks passed and still no clause. She started dodging me with excuses like, "My attorney says the prenup isn't enforceable," or "I don't trust you not to do something behind my back." I kept reminding her that if it's not enforceable and she has nothing to hide, why not just send it? Her hesitation only made my suspicion grow. The timing of everything, her behavior with B, the car at the house, the eyewitness account, and the delay with the clause all point in one direction. To make things worse, her dad tried to manipulate me into sending him money to fix my car about 5 months after promising he'd do it for free when I deployed. Once I told him about the problems between me and A, he didn't offer sympathy or concern. He just asked for B's number. Then, after weeks of silence, he tried to offer help again, but only if I paid him. Every red flag in this situation is waving. I've reached a point where I'm no longer seeking the truth for revenge or punishment, but rather I want clarity. I want to know what I was really up against. However, what I'm learning is this: people who have nothing to hide don't act as if they're hiding something. Silence and deflection often say more than words ever could. I'm working on moving forward slowly but surely. I'm not home yet, and legal conversations are still ongoing. However, I wanted to share my story to ask, has anyone else experienced something similar while deployed? How did you handle it? What would you have done differently? Thanks for reading. Any advice or insight would be greatly appreciated. Third story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my long-term girlfriend? My girlfriend, 23 female, and I, 25 male, just broke up after 4.5 years together. We were in an open relationship for most of that time. We started out monogamous, but eventually she wanted to open the relationship. I was terrified of the idea, but after about 6 months of reading up on ENM, ethical non-monogamy, and trying to rewire my brain, we gave it a shot. We started slowly and gradually escalated. There were some slip-ups that were emotionally hard for both of us, but also long stretches where everything felt amazing. During that time, I had a kinky partner on the side to explore some fantasies. and my girlfriend was seeing someone else. That other guy ended up catching feelings and wanted to spend more time with her. I was okay with that at first, but he sometimes didn't respect our relationship and wanted her all to himself. He was about 15 years older than her, which I always felt was a bit creepy. She eventually broke it off with him and even told me I'd been right about him. Meanwhile, things with my kinky partner fizzled out because my girlfriend would throw tantrums before my dates. I had to cancel last minute many times because she'd have panic attacks whenever I tried to go see my play partner. After that, we decided to stop seeing other people for a while and focus on our relationship. Even after we paused the open arrangement, our core issue remained. I have a ridiculously high libido and love the E&M kink lifestyle, while my girlfriend is very vanilla. Our sex life had basically died. I tried to be patient, but dealing with a dead bedroom for about 2 years was incredibly frustrating. It was especially tough because a lot of the time I wanted to sleep with someone else as part of our open relationship agreement, but she refused to allow it. On the other hand, I almost always let her do stuff, hoping it would help our bedroom situation. We had countless discussions where I told her that sex is really, really important to me and that it's hard to feel so neglected and undesired by your long-term partner. I tried everything to fix this. I read a ton of books, she read books, and even went to therapy, but nothing improved our bedroom situation. We started fighting a lot. I wasn't allowed to enjoy the benefits of an open relationship that much, and at home, I wasn't getting any intimacy at all. I felt starved entirely of affection. Even basic hugs and kisses had basically stopped. Life was stressful for both of us. Then, about a month before our planned summer vacation, I had a serious accident. I destroyed my ankle. After 12 days in the hospital and 2 operations, I finally got to go home. I couldn't move on my own and even had to use a bottle to pee because standing up was so exhausting. That experience was really traumatic for me, and I'm still struggling with it today. We had all planned to attend a festival together with our friends, but now I obviously couldn't go due to my injury. The day before she left for the festival, we got into a huge fight. She screamed at me and at one point even jumped on me, pressing a cushion over my mouth to shut me up. I was terrified. My injured ankle was exposed and I was completely helpless. We both said really mean things in that fight, but what stands out is that she berated me for not doing anything at home. I was literally lying there injured and in pain, fresh out of the hospital. I know she was under a lot of stress. We were in the middle of moving and she had to handle most of it herself. But come on, I had just gotten home from the hospital. Can I catch a break? Anyway, she went off to the festival and we barely spoke while she was gone. Over text, she actually asked me if she was allowed to do anything with someone at the festival, like hook up. Still hurt and angry, I told her to do whatever she wanted, that I didn't care anymore. I also asked if it was okay for a female friend of mine to come visit me, a friend I had hooked up with in the past. Previously, my girlfriend hadn't let that friend visit me in the hospital due to jealousy, but this time she said it was fine. In the end, though, no one ended up visiting me anyway. We texted a bit here and there during the festival, but overall, I was feeling miserable. I told her I wasn't doing great, but I also said I hoped they were enjoying the festival enough for me. The weather was amazing. Our favorite acts were playing, and all our friends were together having a blast. And I was at home alone, in pain, missing out on all of it. She came home 4 nights later, totally wasted. We talked a little, and she admitted that something happened with another guy at the festival. I asked for details, and she told me the truth. On the first night, he slept in her tent. She was sharing a tent with some of my friends, and they made out. On the last night, she texted him at 5 in the morning for a booty call, and they had sex outside. I broke up with her because of this. Honestly, I had been so fucking patient with her. I endured a dead bedroom for 2 years, and because of her insecurities and jealousy, I barely had any fun outside the relationship either, despite it being open. She never initiates anything with me, and 90% of the time I tried, I got rejected. I went through a traumatic injury and was at my lowest point, and she still chose to do something she knew would hurt me. Her explanation for sleeping with that guy was, I wanted to feel desired. That infuriated me even more because I've been telling her for 2 years that I wanted to feel desired by her. She couldn't hold off on chasing that feeling for even one festival when I needed her most. She clearly knew it would hurt me. She had plenty of time to think about it. Apparently, she even told my friends after the first night that she was glad she only made out with him because doing more would hurt me. And yet, she still went ahead and had sex with him on the last night. I asked her if she thought there was a chance I would break up with her over this. She said yes. When I asked how likely, she said 50-50. So she basically flipped a coin on our entire relationship just for a mediocre hookup. I broke up with her because I couldn't see any way to get over this. I understand why she did it on a rational level. She wanted to feel desired, fine. But I also think that if I forgave her, she'd do it again the next time she felt insecure or unfulfilled. And I can't get past the fact that she did this when I was already suffering so much. For the record, I still want to be in E&M Dynamics for the future. Now that some time has passed, I'm starting to second guess my decision. Maybe I'm just missing the good times. I really loved her with all my heart, and we had a lot of history. Reddit. Am I the a-hole for breaking up? My commentary. These Reddit stories are just insane. Okay, as you've heard me narrate these 3 relationship disaster stories, they make me mad, and possibly some of you, not just at the situations, but at how people respond to them. Let me break this down a little. Story 1, the friend incident. This first story with the Indian guy and his Chinese girlfriend, Jesus Christ, what a mess. She introduces him as a friend to her racist coworkers who share memes about dirty Indians and finding one of the clean ones, and people are out here debating whether he overreacted by leaving her. Are you kidding me? The woman was ashamed of dating him because of his race. She sat in group chats laughing at racist jokes about her own boyfriend's ethnicity and said nothing. When he asked if she'd prefer he wasn't Indian, she literally said, "It would make my life easier." But here's what's pissing me off about the comments. Half the people are calling him a hero for leaving. The other half are saying he should be more understanding. Listen up. Not every person thinks the same. Just because you wouldn't do it, don't expect every man or woman to move like you. A lot of people want to come to the platform and beat their chest like Tarzan and say, this person was a hero, when in reality, in relationships, people will endure complete bullshit for love. This guy stayed with someone for 2 years who was learning Chinese culture, while she couldn't be bothered to learn what holy was. He put up with workplace racism directed at him. Some of y'all would have stayed even longer because love conquers all, or some Disney bullshit. Story 2, the deployed husband. The second story about the deployed soldier. This one makes my blood boil for different reasons. This poor bastard is overseas serving his country while his 19-year-old wife is basically playing house with some scumbag from her unit. BMW in the driveway, a mystery girl matching his wife's description, dodging the infidelity clause she herself proposed, and people are still saying maybe there's an explanation. What explanation? What possible explanation covers all of that? The guy's leadership had to separate them because their behavior was so inappropriate that multiple people complained. But wait, there will be comments defending her because military life is hard and she's young. You know it's hard being deployed and having your spouse disrespect you and your marriage while you're in harm's way. Some people would stay with this woman even after catching her red-handed because they've convinced themselves that fighting for a relationship means accepting any treatment. Story 3, the festival hookup. This story is just ridiculous. This man was literally bedridden after a traumatic ankle injury, fresh out of the hospital, and his girlfriend of 4.5 years goes to a festival and hooks up with some random guy. Not once, but twice. She knew there was a 50-50 chance it would end their relationship and did it anyway. But here come the enlightened Reddit philosophers talking about open relationships are complicated and she was feeling undesired. Get the fuck out of here with that. He was injured and helpless at home. There's a time and place for everything. And while your partner is suffering alone and missing out on life because of a serious injury, is not the time to go chasing validation from strangers. The worst part? She had the audacity to call it something so minor when he broke up with her. Minor? You literally gambled your 4.5-year relationship for a hookup while your partner was at his lowest point. The real problem. Here's what nobody wants to admit. People stay in these toxic situations all the time. We see these stories and want to believe we'd all handle them perfectly. But the truth is, messy and uncomfortable relationships are the norm for some people. Some people would have stayed with the racist girlfriend because she's trying to change. Others would have given the cheating wife another chance because marriage is work. And plenty would have forgiven the festival hookup because open relationships are complicated. Stop pretending like there's one right way to handle betrayal and disrespect. Love makes people stupid. Fear of being alone makes people accept treatment they know is wrong. Financial dependence, a lack of resources, children, and a shared history. All of it keeps people trapped in situations that outsiders can clearly see are toxic. So, before you go crazy in the comments acting like these guys are either heroes, villains, or simps because they don't act like you think they should act or move fast enough, remember that real relationships are messy, people are flawed, and sometimes love isn't enough to overcome fundamental incompatibility and disrespect. Not everyone has the same backbone, the same self-respect, or the same ability to walk away. And honestly, sometimes that's okay, sometimes it's not. But stop acting like you know exactly what you do until you're in the same situation. Because I guarantee half of you would surprise yourselves with how much bullshit you'd actually tolerate when emotions are involved. If you like this type of content, subscribe for more.